McBuster said, oh boy, we have our first Nick chat of the day. This is my favorite part. This is the part where I go, hey, guys, we're going to have a normal show today. We're going to do our normal thing. And somebody in the chat goes, did you see the Nick? And then I comment on it, and I have a little fun. And then he goes, she's talking about me. Sorry, people think you're retarded, and they have fun. And I've told a lot of truths where you've told a lot of lies, so they come to me for information. I can't help it. I'm a resource. McBuster says Nick is having a tantrum. He is so desperate. He knows we all know his damage control slideshow didn't sell anyone. Yeah, and like, I'll tell you this, the guy's got the sunk cost fallacy down. I mean, he's the guy. He's remember the scene in Casino where Joe Pesci is losing at the blackjack table, and he keeps asking for like $10,000 markers, and eventually they just have to cut him off. We're rapidly approaching that level. L Train says, my lost interest is a Lady K sweeper. I think Mama K, people call her Mama K, call her Lady K. I don't know. It started out as Lady K. Now it's Mama K. I don't know. I don't know why it went to Mama K. I think some of these sector guys might have some parental issues. No, she's great. She's awesome. I like her a whole big bunch. I'm not going to say what. I always get myself into big trouble running my mouth, and I start talking, I don't realize what I'm saying, and then just stupid shit comes out. I talked to talking, not like on the phone or anything, but I talked to Mama K yesterday. She's a champ, dude. Like, she is hanging in there. Like, people are attacking her. I mean, look, 90% of people, okay, fine. The Nick Melton contingent are attacking her. The other 95% of the internet, totally on her side, totally cool, totally awesome, support the hell out of her. But she's taking it in stride, man. When people come from, when us normal people who live outside the internet go into internet stuff, a lot of them kind of get a little shell-shocked at first. And man, she has come in, she's done her thing, and then she goes off, she lives her life. I was so happy. Like, I was like, hey, if you ever want to do an interview or you ever want to do anything like that, love to have you, whatever. And she's like, today, I'm not going to say specifically, but she goes, today I'm doing something with my family. And I told her, I go, that's the right answer. Good job. That's the way to do it. She's like, I just wanted to do my thing, and now I'm going to go off and I'm going to do life. And I'm like, that's the toe prescription. Whatever he's going to do, he's going to do. I'm not, it's not like the guy would listen to any smart advice anyway. He just lets people on the internet gas him up. So, que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. Let's go to McBuster. Oh, God damn, man, everything. Budman says never go full tard. McBuster says Minnesota is the best place to be a criminal and neglect your kids. Look at Baldy. See, am I the one bringing? I'm sitting here. I want to talk about Tim Walz talking about dudes. Honky says Wax Museum, watch out. Nick interprets that as ... something. Reverend JJ says Nick is cranking one out to this. You see what I mean? I'm just trying to do a fun little show, and people are goofing on and busting on my old friend, Nick Rekieta. He's now my cautionary tale. That's what we fly the same plane. Mine was just built with a pull-up mechanism, unfortunately. Miss Tay says Lady K is Clubfoot Carl. Isn't it Clubfoot? He keeps adding nicknames. I found out like he's an abortion guy. That's heavy shit. That's not very nice. That's not going to get you any, right-wing credentials. I'll tell you that much. I don't even know if that's true. Somebody said that. Terrible if true. And his wife's way too old to be having any more kids. So, I do notice that about people who don't have kids and realize they're not going to have kids. As they get older, they do get bitter. They lash out at people more. There's something about having children, like as challenging as it is and as challenging as it can be. And luckily, I have someone who has them 50% of the time who's also a very good parent. So it's pretty easy for us, and we can communicate very well now that there's nobody in the middle trying to play the two of us against each other. That's kind of psychotic. But it is fulfilling, though, because, like, you have your children, right? And no matter how bad things get or no matter how tough things get, you always have your kids. You watch them play or you talk to them, you hang out with your kids. And they just instantly, they cheer you up. They make you happy. Like I went to bring my oldest the socks and the microphone. And then we went to, my aunt and uncle's cabin, which is like a few minutes down the road. It was just a real easy place to go and hang out for a little bit. And my youngest was already there. And as soon as I get out of the car, she goes sprinting up and she jumps at me and you pick her up and everything else. And it's just like, try not to be in a good mood when shit like that happens. So like when you get to your 40s and you realize like this is it, like a Carl or a Melton or any of these guys, and you get to that point in your life and like you literally don't have anything. That's it. And I think a lot of that gets turned into rage, and you start raging out for people for very small things, like some of the things that, they went after Keanu for, or like you host entire shows where you can't stop talking about a guy because he's your only paycheck. Like, I don't think people with children do that. I don't. Like, I think that's where the disconnect between all of us really is. Like, they don't have children. They don't have a legacy. They don't really, if you're in your 40s and you don't have kids, other than like just killing time, you don't have a purpose, really. So you got all these guys with no purpose and wives they don't give a shit about, and they just want to live on the internet all day. And they're like, let's do a whole show about Aaron. And unfortunately, they can't see how miserable and like how lame that looks to everybody. But those of us with kids look at that and we go, that's why you keep hearing people with children go, I could never understand just being terminally online and like obsessing with someone like that. It's just because there's like telling jokes and being silly, and then there's like living for that person. And then you start to empathize with them and you go, oh, they don't have kids. They don't have a purpose. Or if you're like Carl, they say he killed one of them with the abortion or whatnot. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it would make a lot of sense why he's bitter now. And you have empathy for that. Let's go to Honky. Says, Will Heron got his donkey teeth in Mexico from Dr. K. Now, that would be Dr. What, not Dr. Who. So that, I guess it's fine. It's fine. Annoyed Wawa supervisor says, Aaron, let them stay in school. You've seen what homeschool looks like. You don't have stimulant money. I never saw those kids get taught a thing in their house. Someone asked me recently, they're like, what was the schooling like? I'm like, nobody ever taught them anything like inside the house. I don't know if it was all on iPads or what. I don't know, but I never saw them get taught. Like they went to a weekly community thing and I'm sure they learned a lot of stuff there, but like Nick got banned from being a teacher. They wouldn't let him teach kids anymore. And he had a chimp out about like, it's just, so yeah, it really turned me off on the whole homeschooling thing. I think the public school system, people shit on the public school system. First of all, where my kids go, it's actually pretty good. It's one of the better ones in Minnesota. But also, I think it's what you make it. I think a lot of people make the public school system a scapegoat because they're lazy parents. I think you have to be involved. You got to ask your kids, one of the first things when you see them, how was school today? What did you do? What are you working on? Do you need help with anything? Like, you got to be involved. And I learned that before I had kids from one of the superintendents in Eden Valley Watkins when I would interview superintendents when I worked in Litchfield. And he said, look, we can only do so much. He said 90% of scholastic achievement comes from, what happens at home and the parents being active. You can't just dump your kids in public school, expect them to do everything, and then get pissed off when the result isn't good. You have to be involved. That's a big part of it. Honky with a buck says, as long as Keanu continues to give, he's quoting Polly Walnuts now, that malignant April tons of grace, keep her at a distance. I don't expect anyone to share my opinion on April. The more I find out about the really dirty, like behind the scenes shit she tried to do to me after we were divorced, after I left, after I was out the door, like the really weird shit that, people say, oh, Nick made her do it. And nobody makes you do it. You're a grown person. Like the weird, like CIA spy shit she tried to do to like try and catch me on stuff. It's like, I'm out. I'm gone. Leave it alone. Like, she would go through phone records and shit and look up the phone numbers of people I was talking to and all this stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't like this rule where I have to like someone just because a certain amount of time has passed. I don't wish her ill, but I don't like her. I mean, and if I do a talk show where people ask me questions and we talk about stuff, I'm not going to pretend I like someone just because it looks good for other people. If you're not comfortable with the way I talk about somebody, you are more than welcome to not listen to it. Diamonds and Henna with $9.99 says Nick has kids and he has no purpose. Kids are not a cure at all. Well, I mean, I guess everybody's different when it comes to how children affect their life. But, you hear people like me be all gay and say they're a blessing, they're a blessing. I mean, I can say unequivocally my children saved my life. I have no problem saying that. Like, my children gave me the strength and the reason to get out of a situation that was immature and degenerate and toxic and godless and stupid. And you can gain strength from just like, you just look at your kids, and when they don't want to go somewhere or they say like, oh man, like they'll say heartbreaking stuff like, why doesn't our stepmom care about us anymore? What did we do? And you're just like, all right, this is done. Like, you hear that shit or you see a look, or your kids, you got to be perceptive. Sometimes they'll speak without saying it and you'll just kind of notice it and you'll go, okay, this has to be it. It's not worth this. And like, look what you're doing to your children. And so I can unequivocally say my kids saved my life. And it kind of speaks to something I've said for a long time, but for a few months of my life, I lost sight of. Once you have children, your time is over. Whatever you were going to be, you've become. And now you live for them. That's your lasting legacy. That outlives you. That lives past you. So you live for them. All of your selfish wants and all of your selfish needs. Look, Ashley has the kids 50% of the time. I have the kids 50% of the time. Every other day, we go back and forth. I think in the summertime, it feels like more than that. But, really, if you're a parent and you're divorced, I mean, the school has your kids 40% of the time. And then you get 30 and then they get 30. But, when it comes to the idea that like your time is over, your kids are your lasting legacy. That's the truth. I mean, that's the fact of the matter. And, one thing I lost sight of, a very important relationship in your life, is the relationship with the parent, the other parent, the mother of your children. And when you disrespect that relation, a lot of, you get into, I got married again, and that person then thought that they should supplant that person's role. And then you can just drop off and pick up with that other person. And then, I'm the, and that's not the case. That's why, you got to have a lot of patience with people who are coming into a kid situation, and they need to be respectful of it too. That, no matter how much, like, until all those kids are grown up, the person you're with needs to understand that there will always be two women in your life. And that's very hard to deal with, but you can't try to manipulate that. You can't try to take that away. You can't try to get in between that, because that's going to be a death knell. You have to accept you have two women in your life. They're both very important, and you have to have a certain relationship with one and a certain relationship with the other. That's the truth of the matter. And I lost sight about that for a while. So when Diamonds and Henna says kids are not a cure-all, if you pay attention, they may not be a cure-all, but they give you strength that you didn't know you had. If you try to rely on yourself, you're going to burn down everyone around you. But if you realize, we're all organic life forms, and we can all draw strength to make the right decision off of other things. You use that. You're in tune with the other people in your life. Redbird with $2 says, ups like Nick give homeschooling a bad name. It's not for everyone, but if you have a drive to learn and go above and beyond as a kid, it is far better than public school. But only if you... Oh, no, I know parents who have done the homeschooling thing, and they're incredible. They do a really good job. It's a case-by-case basis.